Welcome to the UFW podcast with your host, Big Ike Johnson.
Hey, Big Ike Johnson here from UFW Lifestyle. I'm going to teach you how to be unfuckwithable. To be unfuckwithable, you have to learn how to generate, use, and direct your own personal power. Hey everyone, Ike here, Ike Johnson from UFW Lifestyle with another podcast on value. Last week we talked about value, in particular, valuing yourself when others may not value you. We talked about Gucci, Prada, and Walmart and how they may be doing things or offering products that may not value how you feel about yourself. So, you can decide to shop there, protest, close the stores down, whatever you want to do, to get them to realize that you are valuable and that you are valuable to them. This week, I want to change things up a little bit. I want to talk about money and how we value money. But first of all, let's talk about what money is. And when I say money, I want to be very, very clear on money. So here's the definition. Money can be defined as anything that people use to buy goods and services. Money is what many people receive for selling their own things or services, and there are many kinds of money in the world. Most countries have their own kind of money. In the U.S., we have the dollar, there's a British pound, and so forth. But these are currencies. Keep that in mind. These are currencies, and there are many kinds of money. One kind is called commodity money. Commodity money can be used for other purposes besides serving as a medium of exchange. We say it possesses intrinsic value because it is useful or valuable in and of itself. Some examples: cattle, silk, gold, silver. These kinds of money are convertible. Convertible money can be converted into gold and silver, whereas other kinds of money are not convertible. Examples: notes and coins are inconvertible money. They are inconvertible and are declared by the government as money. As far as their true worth, they're only worth the paper that they are printed on. And the government can choose, or economies can choose, to modify the value of currency. You've probably heard of hyperinflation, where a country's currency is highly inflated so that it may cost $1 million to buy a loaf of bread. However, let's think about money. Do you really want money, or do you want wealth? Wealth is the abundance of valuable financial assets or possessions which can be converted to a form that can be used for transactions. An individual, community, region, or country that possesses an abundance of such possessions or resources is said to be wealthy. So number one, when you're thinking about money or wealth, decide which one you want. Do you want paper currency, or do you want true wealth? I like to buy things that I can convert if I need to do so. So I tend to buy things I know have value or will appreciate in value. If you just have money in and of itself, money in itself may or may not appreciate in value. However, if I take that money and spend it wisely, I can buy things that will appreciate in value much more so than the currency itself. So decide first, do you want money or do you want abundance and wealth? Here are some ways to get that. The first method is called the Midas touch. There was once a king called Midas, who did a good deed for Saturn and was granted a wish by the god of wine. Midas asked that whatever he touched be turned into gold. Although Dionysus, the god of wine, tried to dissuade him, Midas insisted, and it was granted. Now Midas was excited. He went around touching all kinds of things, turning into gold. But soon he got hungry. He picked up a piece of food, but he couldn't eat it because it had turned to gold. Perhaps this was not such a good idea. Long story short, his daughter came in, she hugged him, she turned to gold. So again, he said, this may not be a good idea. And the story ends with Midas going and crying along an ocean, and then Midas thought, oh my God, my beloved daughter is now gold. He was so distraught, he went down to the river and wept. It is said the sand of the river turned into yellow as fool's gold, for it is there they say that Midas washed away the curse of the golden touch with his own tears. So, what is the moral of this story? I think it is this. Be careful of what you ask for. You may get it. Midas asked for the golden touch, and he got that. Sometimes people don't think all the way through. They get what they ask for, and they're not happy because those things really didn't satisfy them. They may have satisfied a certain problem, but they are probably not well thought out. Example, when I was young, I met a woman who wanted to meet a guy that was good around the house. And she said, I want a husband who's good around the house. So she met a guy. They got married. And yes, he was good around the house, but he was not loving. He was not kind. He was not affectionate, even though he was good around the house. So the question is, how do we ask for and get what we truly need if we don't include all of those details? Another story. This comes from Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 to 27. When they came to Capernaum, the collectors of the tax went to Peter and said, Does your teacher not pay the tax? He said, Yes. And when he came into the house, Jesus spoke to him, first saying, What do you think, Simon? From whom do kings of the earth take toll or tax? From their sons or from others? And when he said mothers, Jesus said to him, Then the sons are free. However, not to give offense to them, go to the sea and cast a hook, and take the first fish that comes up. And when you open its mouth, you'll find a shekel. Take that and give it to them for me and for yourself. So what happened here? Well, that was different. Jesus asked of himself, his deeper self, how to solve an issue. Jesus asked the God within for substance. First, let me say this again. Jesus always communed with his higher self. He was always in touch with his higher self. So when Jesus asked for the money to pay taxes, he was asking first of his deeper self. His deeper self resolved the whole problem in what may be seen as a miraculous way. But again, Jesus went within first. He was in touch with his big self. People ask me, well, who am I? I'm Mike Johnson. Well, and how did I get money? Well, actually, two methods. One method for me is to solve problems. I find that when people have problems, they will pay for solutions. So, if you are a problem solver, one way to get money is to come up with a solution that people will pay you for. If they know and can talk in terms of enough detail. In the consulting business, oftentimes we have problems when our customers don't ask in terms of detail. A lot like Midas. Midas wanted a solution, but didn't think through enough detail. And that happens also in consulting work or for people who are there to solve problems. So what else do? I've learned to go to my big self and ask there for my needs. Oh, yes, I have savings. I have some limited investments. I buy things of value so that I can convert those to cash if need be. But my wealth exceeds much more than the things that I have and the money that I've saved. I am in such touch with myself that I often get money unsolicited. I will get money even when I don't ask for it, because my big self is looking out for me and automatically gives me what I need. Well, how do you do that? How did I do that? Number one, I learned that deep within me was what I call Big Ike, or the big self. I read about that, I learned about that, but I had to practice knowing or accepting that a part of me was this God consciousness, the big self, whatever you want to call it. I had to accept that. Then I had to practice. I practiced by asking for small things first, and then listening for my intuition to tell me what to do and how to get them. Much like Jesus. Jesus was always in touch with his big self. He called him Father. So when Jesus wanted something, he did not think that it was a miracle for his problems to be solved. When he turned water into wine, he think it was a miracle. When he turned when he got the loaves of fish and fed many people, no, not a miracle. When he told Peter to go drop a line into the water, catch a fish, and his mouth would be a shekel, no miracle. He knew, as I know, that your big self will always provide for you if you ask and listen. Well, some people say, well, I've asked, I've listened, but I still haven't gotten what I want. And I say, well, maybe you didn't listen long enough. Or maybe you didn't ask in detail. But I've learned that when you quiet your mind, your big self will just give you stuff, even unasked. Your big self will just drop gifts on you. Like a twinkling, like snowflakes. So the key here is this. I have obtained my wealth by listening to my big self. And I give you that. If you listen, accept, and ask of your big self, you will lack for nothing. Ike here, Ike Johnson, UFW Lifestyle, is saying, know your big self, ask your big self, listen to your big self, and know that your big self will always provide for you. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to the UFW podcast with your host, Big Ike Johnson. Follow Big Ike Johnson at UFW Lifestyle on Instagram and Facebook. Find out more about the UFW Lifestyle online Visit UFWlifestyle.com for tips and tools that will help you to start living a life that is truly unfuckwithable. Bye now.